This is my 71 Dodge Charger. I picked this up a little over 2 years ago. Had a 440 big block Mopar, sounded awesome. Didn't really deliver the goods on the dyno. Big block Mopar, no power. 360 horsepower, pathetic. So we ripped the engine out, decided to put a Cummins in here. Let's check out where we're at today. All right, for you guys that know, or that you don't know, we swapped a 2003 Crown Victoria front end onto this Dodge Charger. Now, the reason I picked this front end is it was aluminum. It was the same weight as what was there. Disc brakes, has a rack and pinion steering. It was a great little upgrade for this car. But since we're gonna drag race this car, we need to upgrade the front suspension. So I called up the good folks at QA1, and guess what? They have a kit that bolts into this Crown Vic front end. So that's what we're doing today. We're gonna get this front end swapped over to some coilovers with some double adjustable shocks, and we'll see how it works. All right, I just got these QA1s unpackaged. While I got this here, let me tell you why I decided to upgrade the front end. First off, we're putting a heavy Cummins in here. The 440 that weighed in here, the 440 that was in here, it was all iron, even iron headed, but it only weighed like 600 pounds with the transmission. The Cummins with the transmission and turbos, it's probably going to be like 1,300 pounds. So we're adding a lot of weight. We need some adjustability on the front end. So I wanted an adjustable ride height from the QA1, and then I needed the adjustable shocks for when you're drag racing. We want to be able to adjust the rebound and the compression settings on the front end so that we can control wheelies, cause it to wheelie, whatever we want to do. But so anyways, it's cool. They have this cool bracket. It's going to bolt right in place of this, I assume, because obviously I read the instructions. And we've got these nice springs here, made in USA. It's always nice to see that on a part. And here's the actual shock itself. Let's see what's in here. There's something funny I noticed here. Look, it says Permatex anti-seize lubricant must be used on coilover threads to prevent galling. Well, guys, I work in a diesel shop. We might have some anti-seize somewhere, but I mean, we don't do ball joints and brake jobs, so I don't even have that. But you know what I do have? I have some ARP Ultra Torque. So we're gonna see if the ARP Ultra Torque works as an anti-seize. If it doesn't, I'm gonna ruin my shocks. But if it does work, that's one win for ARP. Okay guys, maybe I should have read the instructions, but where there's a will, there's a way. Don't cut coil springs with this, it's dangerous. I'm a trained professional. Springs out. Kinda. Looks like it's caught on this upper control arm. But I'll bet you I can jack it up now and get clearance. That looks sketchy. Never claimed to be the best Ford mechanic. I've never owned one in my whole life. And the only other solution is to cut more, right? This one came from Salt Lake. Oh yeah, baby. Whew. Whew. Look at that. Now we can paint it like Greg Gabriella. Haha! Success. All right, after a lot of cutting, this thing's ready to come apart. Now, I'm not an idiot. I know you're supposed to pull the ball joint apart. Disassembly instructions. We don't need the disassembly instructions. We're already past that. Screw the aluminum spring adjuster nut shoulder up or down to the last thread, no further. Dude, it's way better than before. Like I used to jump on it, wouldn't even move. Got a lot of adjustability and ride height now. Much softer spring up front. But we can always go heavier. I think this is the lightest one QA1 sells for this. So if it ends up being too light when we get the Cummins in there, we'll change. But we're at the minimum tension, so we could preload these, you know, several inches and be awesome. All right, so we got the front end buttoned up. QA1s are on. I'm very happy with them. Front end moves nice and free. We have a lot of adjustability. So now let's go to the back of the car. We're gonna put those AFCO big gun shocks that I bought, those coilovers on the back, so we can set the ride height and get this race car ready to move along. Ready to roll along? Ready to race? All right, we're back underneath the race car. Now we're working on the rear end today. We just finished the front end coilovers, so now let's get the rear coilovers. Now off camera, I did quite a bit of work on this Dana 60 rear end. We'll just point out a couple of the highlights. First off, we got these much taller 4-link brackets that lets us spread more. We have more adjustability on the bars, which is going to help if we ever take this land speed racing versus no prep racing versus prepped track racing. There's a lot of different bar angles and settings you want to accomplish the type of racing you're doing. So that gives us adjustability. We also added these tabs so we can have an anti-roll bar. For the guys that don't know, that's just a fancy sway bar that's adjustable for drag racing. We added some chrome moly gussets under here to try to brace the brace the pumpkin and differential so it's not flexing, in hopes that this Dana 60 will hang in there. Now this does have a good Mosier cover that preloads the bearing caps. It has a Mosier spool. It has Mosier axles in it. So keep our fingers crossed that this rear end's going to hang in there. But if not, I made my 4-link brackets spread between 21 and 22 inches on the center so that it's modular. It'll fit with standard drag race Ford 9-inch stuff if we decide to go there, or if we even have to go bigger, like a Mark Williams 11 1/4 inch, I think they call it, rear end. We could potentially do that if this ever makes a lot of power. But let's get putting those, let's put those AFCOs together, and then we'll come install them, and we can kind of see what this thing looks like sitting on the floor. All right, let's get these AFCOs thrown together. All right, so we have a 14-inch, 200 pound per inch spring. That's what we're gonna try to start with. I don't really know what this car is gonna want or need, but that's my best guess. So with the weight we're gonna be at. All right, so we got the AFCOs bolted on, and we didn't tighten them down because during the process of building the car, these might come on and off 5 or 10 more times, depending on what I'm working on, painting, whatever. So right now they're just there, but they're secure. So we're gonna lower the car back down. Some of you might be wondering, why on earth did we put the big end up? Normally you see the spring and all the adjuster stuff on the bottom. Well, these AFCOs, you can run them either way. They're sealed. The one advantage of this way is there would be less unsprung weight. So weight on the axle that's not on the suspension, you can't control. Weight that is connected via, through the suspension, you can control with the valving. So you try to have the least amount of unsprung weight, or the least amount of weight on the rear end. So that's one way to move another pound or two up there. That's not why I did that, because this car isn't at that level. The reason I run this upside down is these adjusters are for the rebound, and this is what I'm going to be adjusting the most, and so making it easy for me to come in and turn this adjuster, where this knob up here is really easy to find. It's up high. Oh, I put this one on backwards. Look at that, the knob's on the back. But anyways, we're going to want the knob facing out, and I just did it so that it's easier to hit this adjuster that's harder for me to turn, where that knob's really easy to reach up and find. So, and I feel like I'm going to be adjusting the rebound a lot more on the rear end than the compression. So, I don't know, we'll find out and see. But let's get the car back on the ground and get all the jacks out from under it, so it's actually sitting on its own, its own weight there, and let's see what it looks like for ride height right now. All right, we got the car sitting on all 4 shocks. However, we got a problem. As you can see, this thing's got some play. So that brings us to the next point. Some guys will do a panhard bar. We're gonna do a wishbone on that. That's why you need a wishbone. It keeps the rear end located. So I wanted the car sitting on its shocks so that we could kind of get it set closer to its correct ride height, and so that we can dial in this wishbone. So obviously that's next, because you obviously can't go down the racetrack like this. All right, now check it out. We got the Wishbone installed. Look, shocks are staying perfectly straight up now. Now all the 4-link bars are loose, so there's a little bit of give in them. They're not all tight, but this thing is like way more rigid. So Wishbone for the win. That's going to wrap up this episode on the Silver Mullet. If you hate the name, comment below. I want to know. If you genuinely hate the name Silver Mullet, comment below. If you like the name Silver Mullet, comment below. Like, we still haven't really decided, but man, I'm really leaning hard towards Silver Mullet. So this thing's sitting on all 4 of its own tires with coilover race shocks front and rear. Wishbone, keep that rear end centered. I'm happy. This thing's moving along. Be sure to like and subscribe so that you can tune into the next episode where we really start putting some actual race parts on this thing, and hopefully we can get it to make some noise under that new Cummins power plant I'm working on for this thing.